Whenever I define chastity or virginity, I like to use the word that is a three-dimensional virginity or chastity. In fact, I was author of a book called Soul Virgins, Redefining Single Sexuality. So 3D, think with this me a minute. Three-dimensional, oftentimes when we look at people, we talk about their soul as being the inner part of them. You know, maybe their mind and their emotions, that inner part of them, or maybe their heart, that spiritual dimension that we love and give and receive love and create a relationship with God. But I like the definition, which is equally well used quite a bit in Scripture and in culture, of the idea that we are three-dimensional people. That when we talk about a soul, just a person, when we talk about a soul, a person, we need to remember that there's three dimensions to that. There is a physical dimension. Now, as I'm talking about 3D, remember here, I'm not talking about three different parts. I, Doug, am not three parts. I, Doug, am a person, a soul with three dimensions. So I have this physical part of me, and if we look at this sexually, my 3D sexually is I have genitals, I have male, I have penis, I have hormones and testosterone in me that create desire. I have eyes that can see and trigger my brain. So one of my dimensions is the physical, and it closely interacts, we're seeing, with the mind dimension, the psychological, the mind dimension. And the mind dimension, as we look at it, we define part of it as our amygdala, the feeling part of the brain, and then we have a prefrontal cortex, the front part of the brain that makes decisions and values and unfortunately isn't fully developed till we're like 23 or 4. And then we have the human brain that thinks and sorts, and so that is another dimension. And then we also have a heart, an inner spiritual part of us that longs for relationship, that wants intimacy, that wants to be loved and to love. So when I get into words like virginity, I like to look at them more than just as a physical state. You who are listening, I don't know whether you've had sex or not. In our culture, the odds are you may have. But what I would like you to think through is that this idea of being a virgin, this idea of being uncontaminated, of being chaste, of having wise constraints, of choosing to be abstinent, of really disciplining our sexuality, really has three dimensions to it. We can have the physical part of it, and that's pretty much at times, I come from a very conservative church background, Christian background, that's pretty much all that we've defined virginity as. Try to keep a penis from being in a vagina. Try to keep from having sexual intercourse, and then you'll be a virgin. But that to me is just trying to define it physically. That isn't really defining it three-dimensionally. I think there's another part of it, kind of an interesting, from my Christian background, interesting passage in Scripture, where Jesus said that if you look on a young woman, if you look on a woman to lust after her, you've adulterated in your mind. You've committed adultery in your mind. You have polluted, you have distorted, you have contaminated somehow that sexual relationship with that young woman because of your mind. So that I think there's also a chastity, a purity, a wise constraint that has to do with our mind and how we deal with it. And also I think what really motivates at times a three-dimensional, a 3D virginity, chastity, is the fact that we do have a heart. And the fact that I realize being heterosexual, when I look at a young lady, I realize that I can objectify her in my mind. I can really make her less than she is and not realize that this isn't a person that wants me to sexually hit on her. This is a person that ultimately wants to find a husband that she can love in her heart, that she can really bond with and join with in a full three-dimensional sexual way, with her heart, with her body, with her mind. So I think it helps us at times, even if you think about porn, how one-dimensional that is, how it really isn't at all getting into the idea of it's a heart thing, that young woman doesn't need to just be having sex, that woman really needs to have a partner that could love her and hold her and cherish her. And so often in our hookup culture, we lose a part of that. We really make women and men one-dimensional. We don't give them that three-dimensional part of them where we really can look and say, wow, guys, looking at gals, yeah, nice booty, you know, great boobs, whatever. But we really then say, and she has a mind, she has a personality, and she has a heart that would like to be connected with someone, not just have me hitting on her body. So when we look at this, think through how we can make our sexuality and other people as sexual beings three-dimensional. We'll notice the body. That's an important part of who we are and our attractions. But we also need to make it a mind thing too, and to really be able to allow someone to be soul sexy, a three-dimensional sexiness that allows them to really be a woman and a man with that full 3-dimension, and be able to get beyond the 1 dimension of pornography to 3D sexuality that can be so meaningful as we create intimate relationships.